We have a president, and you know that I like the president personally, always have. But everything is about theatrics and optics and appearances. And now we have the prime minister of Japan, who just made wonderful deals for Japan with us, by the way. Japan is going to continue to buy oil and gas from Russia. There will be no change in that. Japan is going to invest more in the United States. We're already heavily invested here as it is. That's not a big deal. Although Toyota has since come back and said, we're not increasing our investment. Sorry, we didn't make that promise. But she gave Donald Trump the most expensive set of golf clubs in world history. They're beautiful. They're magnificent. And she promised that she would nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. And suddenly, President Trump says, this has been a big success. We are winning. So now he goes on to South Korea. I'm sure he'll get some similar treatment there. And oh, by the way, I see no evidence that India is going to stop buying oil and gas from Russia either. And now we have this ceasefire that was declared a few weeks ago that's just completely disastrously violated by the Israelis. And everybody says, okay, that's fine. So what are we dealing with? We're dealing with facades, illusions. And I think Venezuela is another illusion. Instead of doing exactly what you've suggested, turning inward, focusing here at home on what's important, bring the forces back. If we'll exercise some restraint now, we'll build more capability for the future. But there is no long-term planning. We launched a tariff war. There's no stability in the tariff regime. It's driving everyone crazy. They talk about the dollar as reserve currency. That's all shifting into pure gold now. Ask Nassim Taleb. Ask Ray Dalio. Ask anybody. Gold is the new reserve currency. We're not even prepared for that world. We're not paying attention to it. Let's bomb Venezuela. Let's bomb Colombia. Let's punish those bastards. They're the ones that created this drug problem. No, they're not. They're feeding an appetite in North America for something that people will pay a lot of money for. Crack down on the appetite at home, secure the borders, the coastal waters, and stay out of Central and South America.
I don't understand how, our public conversation is so dominated by Hamas, Hezbollah, all these faraway, Ukraine, Russia, these faraway conflicts, groups that are really not connected to the United States and haven't over time posed a meaningful threat to the United States. You're not even allowed to say that. Hamas does not pose a threat to the United States and never has. Why am I more mad about Hamas than I'm mad about the open air drug market in Philadelphia? Why don't any politicians in the Congress put the open air drug market in Philadelphia above the threat of Hamas? What is that?
Well, I think you have an answer of sorts. And it comes, interestingly enough, from Mrs. Machado. I don't know if she's married or not, so I call her Mrs. She may just be Miss Machado. She's the lady that just won the Nobel Peace Prize, and she's from Venezuela. And she said, if we're liberated by the U.S. armed forces and they remove Maduro, our first act will be to move the Venezuelan embassy to Jerusalem.
What does that have to do with? I'm completely confused. What?
Well, you can't be that confused. I think she's hit on something very important. She's figured out where the power lies, and she's playing to the audience that makes the decisions. You're talking about this democracy business. We've always been a republic with limited democracy, but I think we can pretty much conclude that we're ruled now by a small group of extraordinarily wealthy people. Billionaire oligarchs. Those are the terms they use in Eastern Europe and places like Ukraine.
Yeah.
I think they're in charge. I think they're calling the shots. And I think there are interests in the oil resources, oil and gas primarily, although let's face it, they've got gold mines and emerald mines as well, and other things. I'm told they have a lot of lithium. There may be a true interest in putting in a puppet government and finding a way to extract these resources, because right now, for the first time in 30 years, all the central banks beyond the borders of the United States around the world hold more gold than we do. That's a very important thing to understand. So how do you begin to reverse this process of managed decline, which is really what we've been on now for the last 25 years? Well, oil is part of it. Oil is gold. And even though the oil is exactly what you described, it's heavy oil, high sulfur content, requires a lot of refining. But still, we have the best oil engineers in the world, especially for deep drilling. It will probably, for the same amount of money we pay for 1 barrel of oil out of the ground in the United States, we can probably get 2 out of Venezuela. It's still not as good as Iran or Libya, where you could probably get 3 barrels out for what we spend to drill in the United States. But it doesn't look like we're going to get control of the Iranian oil fields. And I think we've bullied the Emirates and the Saudis about as much as we can at the moment. And Iran stands defiant. So look for another war in the Middle East while all of this is unfolding, because Israel's objectives aren't met. Neither are the objectives of the New York and London banks. I think we're in a lot of trouble financially, and there's a genuine interest in controlling resources to offset that crisis.
Well, if there's anything synonymous with politicians, is that they are all the same, be it in Africa or in Asia or in Europe or in America. They are all just the same. Exactly what Trump is doing in America is exactly what our own politicians are doing in Africa. There will be a serious problem that required attention, that required careful handling. But our leaders will never ever look at it, right? They will never ever. Rather, they will look at something that has no significance on the lives of the people in that given country. That is the thing they will all be focused on. Now, coming to America and the whole invasion of other countries all over the world, I think that they really do not care, because, after all, America will be safe, and the only places that will be in chaos, in total destruction, and in total ruin will be those countries that they have invaded, aka Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Yemen, even Syria. Those countries will be in chaos, but America will be fine. Now, even if they invade Venezuela, which most people suspect it will happen, they will destabilize the government, they will cause chaos, they will break the country apart, and there will be major warlords or militias fighting each other. And be less assured, when all that is ongoing, America will be busy drilling. They will be stealing Venezuelan oil. They don't really care about the people. Do you think that American invading Venezuela is for the Venezuelans? Do you think that the reason they want to kick out the president is for the Venezuelans? No, it's not for them. It's never for them. I remember when this whole Iraq invasion was about to start, and how Bush and Dick Cheney and Colin Powell and I think Condoleezza Rice, how they managed to sow this war to us. I was really, really young back then. And as a young person in Africa, I thought that it was a great thing for them to invade that country, because, after all, Saddam Hussein was a very, very bad person. So I thought, and I was like, well, if the whole reason for invading Iraq was to remove Saddam Hussein, who has been a very bad leader to his people, then by so doing, that was fine. If the whole idea was to remove bad people who are killing their own people, who are persecuting their own people, then so be it. Well, so I thought. But 20 years after, or better still, 24 years after, I have realized that it was never about the Iraqis. Never ever. It was never about what was good for the common people in Iraq. Because if it were that, how come the Iraqis are the ones who suffered the most? A lot of them were killed. So it wasn't about the Iraqis. It was about America and Saddam Hussein. They wanted him gone because he wasn't giving them what they wanted. And so they thought to themselves that the only way we can get what we want is to take him out. All the world banks all over the world team up together, phone him money, stage the whole thing, and he was gone.